Welcome back to the Professional Lovers channel. I'm Al.
And I'm Patty.
And we're the Professional Lovers.
Back with another episode of Married at First Sight, where in this week, the couples met reality.
Home. Yes, they go back home.
They moved in together. They visited each other's individual residences to see what else they could learn. And they each got a visit from Pastor Cal.
Yes.
So, before we get started, just a little bit about us. If you're new, a new subscriber to our channel, we've been married for 28 years and we enjoy facilitating relationships through the lens of Married at First Sight and our own experience, and with the help of our book called Becoming a Professional Lover. So we're going to talk about what we saw this episode, and we invite your feedback, your comments, and your assessments, which could be different from what we see.
True.
And so we like the exchange. So like us. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, tell some of your friends who are Married at First Sight.
The more the merrier.
Right. Married at First Sight fans, because as Al said, the more the merrier. So let's get started. Stasha and Nate.
Yeah.
Well, we already started seeing a little difference in their financial philosophies. Because Miss Stasha, who makes like $450,000 a year, was talking about her need for a $700 espresso machine. And Nate was doing everything he could to
say, well, hey.
To figure out why that really wasn't necessary.
Need it? And I'm like, whatever you want, you can. I mean, if you can afford to buy yourself a brand new house,
$450,000 a year, you can have whatever you want if you're paying for it.
And I can understand a question, but to truly have a concern about it, I just didn't see that. I mean, okay, just think about it. She's inviting you to come into her brand new home that she built. And all she wants, matter of fact, I would buy it for her. So just putting things in perspective. And I understand as a man, you definitely want to bring something to the table.
He's bringing six figures to the table.
Exactly. Which I don't know if he's intimidated by that.
We don't even make six figures together. So if you're bringing six figures to the table.
I make six figures.
I mean,
I just put the decimal point in different places.
Bottom line, if you're bringing in six figures, it don't matter if it's smaller than her six figures.
It's really.
I'm just saying.
We are one.
So a $700 espresso machine,
really.
You know, in her world, that ain't much.
No.
And she's gonna make it back with all the coffee that she says she drinks.
Really, I mean, it really, that was an investment. I mean, she even made it logical, and for him not to understand it, I'm wondering if that is, again, a psychological thing for him.
An ego thing?
Kinda. You know, where, you know, I can't control her money. I can't control where we're living. I can't, you know, and if that starts to roll around in a man's mind, if a man allows that to roll around in his mind and question his validity as a man, then
it's gonna be an issue.
And possessions shouldn't dictate as to who you are, period.
It shouldn't. But he already calls her diva, which she kind of is. You know, you go to her house, it's staged.
Yeah.
Always. He felt all her decorations were over the top. You know, she has 10 pillows on her bed. He's got 2 decorative pillows. But, you know, she's a real estate person. So, you know, her
it's
place.
It's about image.
Her place is always laid. And I can't be mad. But what I kind of got mad at, you know, mad's a strong word, but when she was going through his apartment and was picking it apart.
Critical.
Okay. You know, so the guy's got 3 empty oatmeal boxes in his pantry.
Okay, I mean, she started throwing stuff into the middle of the floor. I mean,
but everything that she saw that was out of place or wasn't what up to par for her.
Wasted, wasteful.
It was really not necessary to pick it apart in such a condescending way.
Yeah.
It was a very judgmental, condescending attitude, which was unnecessary because that's his spot.
Right. But when, something that you said, just in explaining what she does as a real estate person, she is about staging and imagery.
Yeah.
And I can imagine if she went into somebody's space and was trying to help them make it palatable or respectable for a visual viewing or whatever. And that might be her constant mindset. That's what she does. She's not in the framework of thinking about other people and what they think about how she thinks about things. Whereas this is an adjustment, and this is the first time she's been to his place. So that just kind of flashed through my mind in her getting into her business mode.
And I get that, but I still think you could have a handle on your attitude.
Yeah, true.
You didn't have to quite uncover him like that on camera. I'm just saying. But it doesn't take. It takes a little while to adjust to each other's differences.
To married life.
Yeah, and so that's what made Pastor Cal's question of what are your marriage goals? Mm-hmm. What he asked both of them, and Nate said that his goal was for them to be on the same page, to have the same vision as a power couple, and her goal was to be financially free and to generate generational wealth. Which is a great goal. Yeah. But he was talking about, with children, because she's older than him, than he. And, of course, she wants children sooner than later, and he wants children after he gets up to $250,000.
Which he's halfway there.
Pastor Cal was like, why $250?
Really?
I mean...
And that was the indicator of it being about him. Unfortunately, because again, in this situation, if a woman feels that she's ready, and especially her being a little older, her clock is on a totally different time frame, he at least has to acknowledge that. And considering where the finances are, again, if she wants to she can have a baby by herself if she chooses to.
But let's remember, she did ask for a post-nup.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if Pastor Cal knows about the post-nup.
I'm sure he does.
But, that could be weighing on Nate's mind, as in, her money is not our money. Mm-hmm. Her money is her money. And whatever she chooses to contribute to us will be what she chooses to contribute to us. And so there's that right there. A lot of times when, we get together, when couples get together, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours, it's all ours now. Mm-hmm. But it's not quite operating like that with them. So that could be another consideration in his need for making $250,000 before he, But as Pastor Cal said, stop thinking single. You have to start thinking married.
True.
And together, you guys can do financially whatever it is you want to do. The question is really, are they together?
And they're working at it. I mean, this is brand new. This is within the first week of being in their domain together. So. Yeah.
And the last thing between the two of them is that Stasha wants Nate to be more open. More vulnerable to stop talking about surface things or stop talking about his life in general terms, but to get more specific. Mm-hmm. And
it's just her desire to understand him better.
Right. Okay, Morgan and Ben. So Morgan's still got a lot of walls up from the debacle on the honeymoon. Yeah. Ben can't apologize enough for making the mistake. And as she described to Pastor Cal, her difficulty trusting people, or her tendency to, once someone breaks her trust, then that's it. Yeah, cancel.
Severed.
That's the culture we live in now, cancel culture. And Pastor Cal asked her, what happened to you
that made you
that
feel that way?
makes it so difficult for you to trust? And of course, the waterworks started, and it's
stems to a father relationship.
Right, stems from her father-daughter relationship and the way that is.
Yeah. And even then, she evidently gave him an ultimatum that her father, that is, that he evidently did not fulfill or could not fulfill. We don't know exactly what, but she does not have a relationship with him today.
Right.
Because of that.
Right. But Pastor Cal reminded her that she controls the walls.
True.
So if she wants them to come down, she can bring them down. And
as far as I'm concerned, that's a direct correlation to what forgiveness is all about.
Right.
It's not necessarily for the other person. It's for yourself to be freed of that feeling that you have toward that other individual. Because you hold on to it, they could be moving on with their life, and you upset or mad or, deprived of a true, genuine feeling of freedom because of what you're holding on about somebody else.
Right. So, Morgan got introduced to Ben's timed lifestyle. Washing clothes before 4, staying in the dark until 6. When he went in her space and saw her espresso machine, he was worried about the voltage, how much electricity. Oh my goodness, this is a 3-wire plug. And, when she went to the bathroom to take a shower, and he was like, oh, lights out. And she was like, no.
Not in the shower.
Okay, no, I'm not taking
a shower
in the dark. Sorry.
So
that would be a bit much to get used to. That reminds me of visiting you and where you were staying before we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always freezing. And everyone in the house liked it that way. And I was like, I'll be doggone if I'm going to be sitting up in my house with a coat and hat on and gloves.
A New Yorker
in my house.
Living in
that's not going to happen.
We just like it to be a little chill.
Yeah.
We like
it was
to chill.
Too much. And in our house, it's not blasting hot.
I forgot about that.
But I am not in my house sitting up in no coat, hat, and gloves. Right. So Ben might have to do a little bit of compromising when it comes to all of his environmental do's and don'ts.
Was that during the winter?
That was all the time.
Oh, okay.
It was all the time.
Sorry, that brought back memories that I forgot all about.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Lindy and Miguel. Let's go to them next.
Lingel.
So that was really cute.
Yeah, it was.
Lingel. What did he say he was going to name?
That was the name of the restaurant.
Oh, right. After he did that great spaghetti dinner.
Yeah.
That would be the name of the restaurant. So their big thing is still the 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Him seeing the 8 weeks as when I make my decision of whether or not we stay together.
Right. And
her saying, that's really triggering for me.
Exactly. Because she looks at that as a deadline. And it is a decision. It's a determining factor of what the next step will be.
And he sees it as realistic.
Right.
Being realistic.
Mm-hmm. And where are we at the end of 8 weeks when we have to make that decision? And she's just triggered by even the thought of that being, the way it's looked at as the end date or the decision day, D-Day.
Well, because she, again, is looking long term.
Right.
She's considering this as this is our marriage,
mm-hmm.
that we're in it for the long haul.
She's not looking at it when she hears it as a launch pad, or when he says it. She doesn't think that he looks at it as a launch pad. But he came up with a new term.
Well, actually, because he said that she was winning him over.
True.
As in how easy their vibe has been, and they've been having a good time and a positive experience, and so they've started calling it vow renewal day.
Yeah, vow renewal day.
The vow renewal day, which makes her feel a lot better.
Totally different attitude. Just hearing that.
So when she went to see his spot, he surprised her, came out in his alter ego, and she was like, "What the
Bear Man?"
Alrighty then. And he introduced her to his passion of Dungeons and Dragons, which I don't understand. But she made him feel good about it. Like she didn't judge him.
Right.
She didn't.
She was entertained.
Look at him as being real quirky.
Mm-hmm.
And he really liked that. So, that made him feel comfortable. Like, I'm accepting you and everything that you bring with you, including that ridiculous bear costume. Now, one thing, though, with Pastor Cal that they talked about is when he asked, what do you need from him? What do you need from her? And she said, if he was ever feeling disconnected from her, if he was not feeling, positive toward her, then she would rather him keep that to himself.
She didn't want to hear it.
She doesn't, because it would create too much pressure. But he's like, I don't think I can do that.
Because if it builds up in him, little bits and pieces of his negativity toward any of her actions or whatnot, he says that eventually it will blow up because it's building.
Well, he's been in that position several times before.
Right. And he's been considered a doormat because he's allowed it over and over and over and over again, to the point where eventually he says no more, and it would be no more relationship.
Well, he would say something as he's walking out the door, and then he said that person would be like, well, how come you didn't say anything before? So that's going to be an interesting dynamic, because her whole point is feelings are fleeting. So you may be liking me today, you may be all up in my grill today, and then something happens tomorrow and you're not feeling quite that way. But it's not about feeling, it's about commitment. True. And that is true, as in love is a commitment and not a feeling, which we've talked about before as one of the tips that is in our book in week number 4, that love is a commitment, not a feeling. But they're not in love yet.
True.
So, but she's talking about not using your feelings as a gauge, because feelings change.
But it also leans toward the type of personality that she knows she is.
Yeah.
She's an overthinker.
Yeah.
So when something negative comes into play, she has her own discussion and everything, and she comes up with her own resolution about it, and it's always negative, as opposed to finally having someone to truly discuss it with, because he's a communicator, and I believe that will benefit her in the long run as well, being able to express yourself, because many minute things don't carry a lot of weight, at least from the person that's doing it. They just don't understand the impact that it has on another person. And they could just as easily not do it. But if they don't know, they'll continue to do it, thinking that it doesn't have any bearing on the relationship.
Yeah.
So,
well, they're going to have to come to a happy medium with that. I can understand his not wanting to do it because of the impact it's had on him before.
Right.
And if she didn't take everything so personally, then it would not really be an issue.
Exactly.
Right. So they're going to have to find their happy medium with that. Kristen and Mitch, surprisingly, having a very positive experience and consummated their marriage.
Not progress, but progression.
Yeah. I mean, Mitch brought a handful of condoms home from the honeymoon. And Kristen decided that he had shown enough progress for her to go ahead and offer to
consummate,
take things a little
the
further.
marriage.
Right. So that was good. She sees herself closer to him. He sees himself, feeling feelings for her that he hadn't felt before. And realizing his own walls that he had put up and pressure he's exerting on himself.
And that's what it has always been, really. Self-imposed pressure, unnecessarily, totally unnecessary.
And Pastor Cal alluded to that in their discussion when Chris was saying, that he had asked her to not put a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah. Mitch.
Yeah, don't pressure Mitch. And Pastor Kyle asked him about that, and he was like, well, our families liked each other from the very beginning, and I just feel like their expectations are putting a lot of pressure on me. And he was like, this is your marriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Their expectations have nothing to do with your marriage.
Depending on where you place those barriers, they don't affect your marriage.
Right. So again, you're in control of the walls. You're in control of the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in control of what overwhelms you and what doesn't.
True.
It's not other people. And so he made that pretty clear. And I like the way that Kristen affirms him a lot, even in his weirdness.
Because she knows that he needs it.
Yeah, because he's very 41. Unsure. Yeah, 41, but
I don't think he's had any serious relationships in his recent years.
Well, he's basically said that.
Yeah, I mean
nothing deep,
anything substantial.
Yeah. And then we come to our last couple, who for me was a little disappointing this week. And I have to say, I don't want to necessarily term them my red flag couple, but they had a couple of bumps that were a little surprising. And we're talking about Alexis and Justin.
Yeah, my favorite for the past few weeks.
Yeah. So...
Still like them, though.
Yeah. Of course, she kind of... denigrated his bachelor digs, his little studio.
And that's what it is, a studio, And she's
because it's tiny and, this is too little of a space and I couldn't deal with this. And hey, he got what he could handle and he's fine
and
with
what
it.
he needed. What he needed and how he can
the
deal.
Plane flies overhead every 10 minutes.
Actually... noise, there's an element there. But to have an outdoor patio kind of overlooking lights and whatnot, that's nice, pleasant.
Yeah. And he discovered just how much of an artist she is. Yeah. And she is a good artist.
She is.
So
very talented.
He took one of her pieces to the new apartment with them and their dogs.
Yeah.
Which did not end well. So... the two dogs, the big dog, Justin's dog, attacked the little dog, bit his eye.
Yeah.
And that was unfortunate. Now, first of all, let me just say, I did not grow up with animals. So, but we did have a dog for about 18 years or so? 15, 18 years?
Yeah.
For our son, and Billy was a part of the family.
He was a half a dog.
Yes, stop. He was a min pin. He was a mini Jack, I should say. He was
about as big as my hand.
Anyway,
half a dog.
So what I'm saying is, we've had a dog as a pet, but not growing up with pets. I never created an affinity toward dogs as people.
Grasping the personalities of dogs.
I never treated Billy as a person. Billy was a dog.
It's not about treating him as a person.
No, look. We know people who treat their dogs like
True.
people.
Oh, true.
And I'm just saying, don't crucify me. Don't judge me. That's just never been my mindset.
Okay.
An animal is an animal, and a person is a person. I do not see them as equal. Okay? So now, I think that Alexis considered Newton an equal. That's her baby.
So,
that's her child.
Yeah.
And so when Maya attacked Newton, it sent Alexis over the edge. Now, this is what I had a hard time understanding. That the accident between the dogs became Alexis's indictment against Justin.
Yeah.
It was an indictment. You know how much of an empath Justin is, so he immediately starts crying and all that. And I know that sometimes you can think that that could be manipulative, and at times it can be, but he starts crying. He feels bad about it. He wants to go with her to take him to the vet. She's like, no thanks. I'm doing it. And at the end of all, her statement is, I can't stay where I don't feel safe. Wait, did the dog get attacked or did Alexis get attacked?
Yeah. Well, and I can understand the affinity toward a pet. I understand that because you care about this pet. Because even when we lost our first one, I was a little teary-eyed because, again, they become part of your everyday activity.
And when we lost Billy, it was upsetting because he was part of the family.
True. I was talking about Tiffany, though.
I know. Yeah. You said the first one.
Yeah. But the situation was, and it was caught on camera, and this is my understanding of pets, especially dogs, because I am definitely not a cat person, but I am a dog person. And I've had a couple of dogs in my lifetime. What the camera caught on tape.
What was caught on camera, right?
What was caught on camera was Maya showing her teeth and being very territorial. Mm-hmm. Now, Justin, I'm sure, knows his pet as well. And it came out that there had been other encounters
with other dogs.
With other dogs that, they had confrontations. Now,
and Alexis felt like he had kept that from her.
Right. He felt that he was not being transparent in letting her know what that situation.
That it wasn't relevant because the situations were not the same.
He felt unnecessarily confident, thinking that there would be nothing between the dogs, that they would be fine.
Right.
Now, personally, it was Justin's responsibility to make sure, knowing his dog, that he would now have to share this space. He had to let his dog know that. Don't just put him in the situations, because it's not like they're going to communicate with you and tell you, he's going to be all right. No, this is a new environment that they're all in, and dogs are territorial, period. So he should have taken the initiative, for the simple fact that he had the dog on a leash the whole time. It made me think that he understands what his dog is capable of doing. So I felt that he should have taken control of that environment from the beginning. I mean, just embracing both of them, first his dog, and letting the dog know, you're not going anywhere, and I want you to acknowledge this situation. Bring Newton into the situation. They both are held by Justin, and just understand that, it's not taking your place or whatever, but we are together. And train the dog. Dogs are trainable.
Well, Maya's getting trained now. he had to take her away and leave her with a trainer to get trained. But really, Alexis indicated that she wants Maya gone. And, when they were meeting with Pastor Cal and this came up, And, Justin was saying that's going to be difficult.
It would be a difficult decision.
And she's like, wait, but what? So now you're not going to do it because I thought you were going to do it. So now there's no consideration of his feelings toward his dog, which are the same as her feelings toward her dog.
Yeah.
So you're just supposed to get rid of yours. And look, I would be hurt if my dog's eye was all bit up like her dog's eye was. Mm. But what I'm saying is, but you're turning it into
something that Justin did.
Right.
And it was an accident.
Did intentionally.
Yeah.
And he kept this from me intentionally, and his dog bit my dog intentionally.
And to me, that's the first sign of her retreating
and reverting back to what she has been comfortable being, which is hard. And and now all of a sudden the big blessing that Justin was during the honeymoon, she's now like, well, if I don't feel safe with him, I just won't be with Justin. Yeah. And to me, that was an overreaction. Mm-hmm. The same way Ben overreacted about Morgan and her one class.
Right.
So I'm hoping that Alexis is not going to sabotage her relationship by retreating to what she's familiar with. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they can, kind of work this little challenge out. But
I believe they will.
Reality can be a dog fight. How you like that? Yeah. So, anyway, that's it for this week.
Favorites?
Yes. So, surprisingly, my favorite couple of the week.
Drum roll, please.
Kristen and Mitch. What? Yeah, they were on a roll this week.
True. My favorite couple, I think, was Miguel.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
They definitely made progress, and I think a lot more concrete progress on his part, whereas it was through his actions and his creativity that softened her a little bit in understanding a little bit more about him and him expressing and exposing himself to a new feeling for her. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Red flag couple?
Alexis and Justin.
Okay.
And because of it, and actually I kind of even just looked at their aura, I guess, when they were in the apartment. Mm-hmm. The giddiness was gone. Mm-hmm. The joyful, the playfulness was gone. Mm-hmm. And, not to say that, the honeymoon was over, but it seemed like the honeymoon was over. And, and again, I understand the severity of the situation. We're getting into real life now.
Yeah.
I understand that. But the lightness kind of disappeared.
Yeah. My red flag couple, Morgan and Ben. Mainly because I don't know anyone who could live by his environmentally controlled lifestyle.
That's adapting.
I'm not sure, because she's not exactly that adaptable.
No, not to his level.
I'm just saying.
Who would be?
There you go.
But
that's why they're my red flag couple.
Okay, but you're making it sound like he can't adapt.
It's his rules.
Yeah, and if you're the king, you can change the rules.
So he's not going to. He already tried to put her in the dark. So I'm just saying. They're my red flag couple.
Okay.
We'll see how that works out. Anyway.
Well, tell us what you think.
Yeah. Who's your couple of the week? Who's your red flag couple and why? And until next week, we want you to love yourselves.
And each other.
Bye.
Peace.